The stars looked different through the viewport of the human ship Defiance. Commander Sarah Chen pressed her palm against the cold metal wall and stared at the alien constellations. 3 months ago, she had been looking at Earth's moon. Now she was deeper in space than any human had ever traveled. The Defiance was not built for war. It started life as a research vessel, designed to study distant planets and catalog new species. But when humanity developed faster-than-light travel, everything changed. The ship was quickly fitted with basic weapons and sent to explore the galaxy. Sarah often wondered if they had rushed too fast into the unknown. "Commander, we're picking up something on long-range sensors," called out Lieutenant Torres from his station. His voice carried a note of excitement mixed with worry. Sarah walked over to the sensor display. The screen showed dozens of red dots moving in perfect formation. They were big, much bigger than the Defiance. "How many ships?" she asked. 53 contacts, ma'am. They're heading straight for us." Sarah felt her stomach drop. 53 ships against one converted research vessel. The math was not good. "Any response to our peaceful contact signals?" "Nothing yet, Commander. But they're definitely aware of us. Their formation suggests military organization." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations. Everyone knew they were in dangerous territory. This was the edge of known space where humanity's maps ended and the unknown began. Intelligence reports suggested several alien civilizations controlled this region, but contact protocols had never been tested in real situations. "Contact in 30 minutes at current speed," Torres reported. Sarah made her decision. "Open all communication channels. Broadcast on every frequency we have. Tell them we come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations." The response came faster than expected. The main screen flickered to life, showing a creature that made several crew members step backward. The alien was tall and covered in dark green scales. Its eyes were yellow and cold, and its mouth was filled with sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and threatening. "Primitive creatures," the alien said in perfect English. "You dare to enter Zephyrian space with your pathetic metal shell? I am Admiral Kethvar of the Hegemony Border Fleet. Your species is unknown to us, which means you are nothing." Sarah stepped forward. "I am Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Defiance. We seek peaceful contact and trade relations with your people." Admiral Kethvar laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Trade? What could your inferior species possibly offer the mighty Zephyrian hegemony? Your ship is crude and ugly. Your weapons are basic. You are like insects trying to bargain with giants." The alien fleet was now visible through the main viewport. The Zephyrian ships were beautiful in a deadly way. They looked organic, like giant sea creatures swimming through space. Their hulls were smooth and curved, glowing with internal energy. Each ship was at least 5 times larger than the Defiance. "Your vessel will be taken for study," Kethvar continued. "Your crew will serve as examples of primitive life for our scientists. Resist and we will simply take your wreckage instead." Sarah looked at her tactical officer. "What are our chances in a fight?" "Honestly, Commander? Close to 0. Their energy signatures are off the charts. Each of their escort ships has more firepower than our entire vessel. The alien admirals seem to enjoy their fear. You have 1 minute to surrender. After that, we will demonstrate why the hegemony rules this sector of space." Sarah made the hardest decision of her career. "All hands, prepare for emergency jump. Plot a course back toward human space, maximum speed." "Commander." "They'll follow us," warned the navigation officer. "Maybe, but we need to warn Earth about what's out here." The Defiance began to turn away from the alien fleet. Immediately, the Zephyrian ships responded. Bright energy beams lanced out across space, striking the human ship's rear shields. The bridge shook violently as the shields absorbed the impact. "Shields down to 60%, called out the tactical officer. "Jump drive ready," reported the engineer. But before Sarah could give the order, more energy beams struck the ship. The lights flickered and several consoles exploded in showers of sparks. The Defiance was tough, but it was not built to withstand this level of punishment. "They're toying with us," Sarah realized. "They could destroy us easily, but they want us alive." The ship shuddered under another barrage. The Zephyrians were herding them like wolves driving prey toward a trap. Sarah knew they needed to do something unexpected. "Take us into that asteroid field," she ordered, pointing at a cluster of rocky debris on the navigation display. "Commander, that's extremely dangerous. The asteroids are dense and moving fast. Less dangerous than staying here. Do it." The Defiance dove into the asteroid field with the alien fleet in pursuit. The Zephyrian ships were larger and more powerful, but they were also less maneuverable. The human ship weaved between massive rocks while enemy fire lit up the space around them. Admiral Kethvar's voice crackled over the communication system. "You only delay the inevitable, humans. Your crude ship cannot hide forever." But Sarah had a plan. The Defiance's sensors were designed for scientific research, which meant they could analyze the asteroid field in detail. She found what she was looking for: a large asteroid with a hollow core, probably carved out by ancient mining operations. "Take us inside that asteroid," she ordered. "Inside, ma'am?" "You heard me." The Defiance squeezed through a narrow opening into the hollow asteroid. The space inside was cramped, but it provided shelter from the alien weapons. The Zephyrian ships circled outside like angry sharks. "They can't follow us in here," Torres reported. "Their ships are too big." Sarah used the time to send a message toward Earth. The transmission would take weeks to reach home, but it might be humanity's only warning about the alien threat. "Unknown hostile aliens encountered in Kepler 442 system," she broadcast. 50-plus warships, superior technology, hostile intentions. They call themselves the Zephyrian hegemony. Humanity is not ready for this level of threat. Recommend immediate military preparation. After an hour of waiting, the alien fleet began to move away. But Sarah knew they were not giving up. Long-range sensors showed several ships taking position at the edge of the asteroid field. "They're waiting for us to come out," the tactical officer observed, "and they'll wait as long as it takes," Sarah agreed. "But we can't stay here forever. Our life support won't last more than a few days." That night, as the crew slept in shifts, Sarah stared at the communication logs. The alien admiral's words echoed in her mind. Primitive creatures. Pathetic metal shell. Inferior species. The contempt in his voice was absolute. But Sarah had noticed something during their brief encounter. The Zephyrian ships were beautiful and powerful, but they seemed to rely entirely on energy weapons. Their hulls were smooth and organic-looking, suggesting biological technology. They had overwhelming firepower, but their tactics were arrogant and straightforward. They thought humanity was primitive and weak. Maybe that assumption would be their weakness. As the Defiance prepared to make its escape attempt, Sarah wondered what Earth's military scientists were doing right now. Humanity had always been good at one thing: learning from their enemies and adapting quickly. The Zephyrians thought they had encountered just another weak species to crush. They had no idea what they had really awakened. The hunt was about to begin, but Admiral Kethvar would soon learn that underestimating humanity was a mistake that entire civilizations had made before, and none of those civilizations had survived to make that mistake twice. The chase began at dawn ship time. Commander Sarah Chen watched the tactical display as the Zephyrian fleet spread out in a hunting formation. Admiral Kethvar was not taking any chances this time. His ships formed a wide net around the asteroid field, ready to catch the human vessel no matter which direction it tried to escape. "They've been waiting all night," reported Lieutenant Torres. "Sensors show they've called in reinforcements." "We're now looking at 67 ships," Sarah nodded grimly. The situation had gotten worse, not better. But they could not stay hidden forever. The ship's life support was already showing strain, and food supplies were limited. "Plot the most direct course to human space," she ordered. "We'll make a run for it." The Defiance burst out of the asteroid field at maximum speed. Immediately, the alien fleet responded. Energy beams crisscrossed space as the Zephyrian ships tried to disable the human vessel without destroying it completely. "They still want us alive," observed the tactical officer. "That's the only reason we're not dead already." The human ship weaved between enemy fire, its shields flaring with each impact. The Defiance was fast for its size, but the alien ships were gaining ground. Their technology was simply superior in every way that mattered. Aboard the Zephyrian flagship Sovereign's Wrath, Admiral Kethvar watched the pursuit with amusement. His bridge crew laughed as the primitive human ship tried desperately to escape their net. "Look how it runs," chuckled his second-in-command, Captain Veltar, "like a frightened animal fleeing from predators." Kethvar activated the ship's communication system and broadcast to the entire fleet. "All ships maintain pursuit formation. Do not destroy the human vessel. High Command wants to study their crude technology. This chase will make excellent training footage for our Naval Academy." The pursuit continued across 3 star systems. The Defiance used every trick in the book, hiding in nebulae, using gravity wells to slingshot around planets, even flying through the outer atmosphere of a gas giant to confuse sensors. But the Zephyrians followed every move, learning and adapting. During the chase, Kethavar ordered his science teams to analyze the human ship in detail. The results only increased his contempt for the inferior species. Their hull is made of basic metal alloys, reported the chief scientist. No biological components at all. Their weapons appear to be simple kinetic projectiles, essentially throwing rocks at high speed. Their shields are basic electromagnetic barriers, nothing like our quantum field generators. Captain Veltar shook his head in disgust. How did such a primitive species even develop space travel? Probably by accident, Kethavar replied. Some species stumble upon basic FTL travel through pure luck, but they lack the scientific understanding to develop real weapons or defenses. The Admiral opened a channel to the Hegemony Military Academy. Hundreds of young Zephyrian officers watched the chase in real time as part of their tactical training. Observe how the primitive species relies on crude evasion tactics, Kethavar narrated. Their ship design shows no understanding of advanced physics. Note the angular construction. This indicates they still think in terms of atmospheric flight rather than true space warfare. The human ship's attempts to escape became more desperate as its energy reserves dwindled. The Defiance tried to jump to faster-than-light speed several times, but the Zephyrian ships had deployed field generators that prevented FTL travel in the local area. They're learning from us, Sarah realized as she watched the enemy formation adapt to each escape attempt. Every tactic we use, they counter more effectively the next time. The ship's AI, Magnus, had been quietly analyzing the alien technology throughout the chase. Its findings were disturbing. Commander, Magnus reported in its calm electronic voice. Preliminary analysis suggests the Zephyrian vessels use biological technology integrated with conventional systems. Their hulls appear to be grown rather than built. This explains their superior adaptability and self-repair capabilities. Sarah studied the data. The alien ships were healing damage faster than the Defiance could inflict it. Their weapons were powered by what appeared to be organic energy sources. Even their tactics showed signs of collective intelligence, as if the entire fleet was thinking as one organism. How long until Earth receives our warning message? She asked. At current transmission speeds, approximately 18 days, Magnus replied. 18 days. Sarah wondered if Earth's military would have enough time to prepare for what was coming. The Zephyrians clearly saw humanity as just another primitive species to be conquered. Once they finished with the Defiance, they would probably follow the ship's trail straight back to human space. On the 3rd day of the chase, the inevitable happened. The Defiance's engines finally began to fail under the constant strain. The ship dropped out of FTL travel near a gas giant with several large moons. Engine power dropping to 30%, reported the chief engineer. We can't maintain this pace much longer. The Zephyrian fleet immediately surrounded the human ship. Admiral Kethavar's voice filled the bridge once again. Your pathetic flight ends here, humans. Surrender now, and we may allow some of your crew to live as specimens for our scientists. Sarah looked around at her crew. These were good people. Scientists, explorers, engineers who had volunteered for humanity's first deep space mission. They deserved better than to become alien laboratory subjects. All hands prepare to fight, she announced. We may not be able to win, but we can make them remember us. The Defiance opened fire with everything it had. Kinetic rounds streaked toward the alien ships, followed by the ship's small complement of missiles. The weapons struck Zephyrian shields and hulls, causing minimal damage, but making a statement. Kethavar laughed as he watched the futile attack. Magnificent. The primitive creatures have spirit, at least. Very well. We will give them a proper demonstration of Zephyrian power. The alien fleet responded with precise energy blasts that disabled the Defiance's weapons and engines without destroying the ship completely. Within minutes, the human vessel was helpless, drifting in space like a broken toy. Zephyrian boarding ships approached the Defiance from multiple directions. The aliens moved with the confidence of predators that had caught their prey. Sarah watched the approaching vessels and made one final decision. Magnus, begin emergency broadcast to Earth. Continuous transmission, all frequencies. Commander, the aliens will certainly intercept and decode any message we send. Good. I want them to hear this. Sarah activated the ship's communication system and began to speak. Her words were broadcast toward Earth, but she knew the Zephyrians were listening. "This is Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Defiance. We have been captured by a hostile alien force calling itself the Zephyrian Hegemony. They possess superior technology and overwhelming numbers. They view humanity as primitive and weak. They intend to follow our trail back to Earth." Cathavar's image appeared on the main screen. "Clever, human. You hope to frighten your species into preparing defenses. But what can primitives do against the might of the hegemony? Your warning will only give them time to contemplate their doom." Sarah smiled grimly. "Admiral, you've made one crucial mistake. You think you understand humanity based on this one ship? But the Defiance was never meant for war. Wait until you see what we build when we're actually trying to kill something." The Zephyrian admiral's laughter echoed through the bridge as his boarding parties prepared to take the human ship. To him, Sarah's words were the desperate boasting of a defeated enemy. But deep in space, 18 days away, her message was racing toward Earth at the speed of light. And on Earth, humanity was about to learn that they were not alone in the universe, and that their new neighbors were not friendly. The real war was about to begin. 3 weeks had passed since the capture of the human ship. Admiral Cathavar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching his prize being prepared for transport to the hegemony capital world. The primitive vessel called Defiance now sat in the cargo bay of a Zephyrian transport ship, its crew locked in holding cells. The human prisoners had been surprisingly difficult to break. Most alien species surrendered their secrets quickly when faced with Zephyrian interrogation techniques, but these humans showed remarkable resistance to both physical and mental pressure. It was almost admirable. "Admiral," called his communication officer. "Long-range sensors are detecting a massive spatial distortion. Something large is approaching our position." Cathavar turned to the tactical display. A single contact was moving toward them at incredible speed. The energy signature was unlike anything in the Zephyrian database. "Size and classification?" he asked. "Unknown design, sir. Mass readings suggest it's approximately 3 kilometers long. That would make it larger than our dreadnoughts, 3 kilometers. Cathavar felt a moment of surprise. The human ship they had captured was barely 300 meters long. What species had built something so massive? "Sir, the contact is slowing down. It's dropping out of faster-than-light travel." The main screen flickered to life, showing the approaching vessel. Cathavar stared at the image with growing amusement. The ship was ugly. There was no other word for it. Where Zephyrian vessels were smooth and organic, this ship was angular and brutal. Its hull was covered in thick armor plates that looked primitive and heavy. Massive weapon turrets jutted out from its sides like the spines of some ancient beast. There were no elegant curves or artistic touches, just raw industrial functionality. "It appears to be human design," reported the science officer. "The construction methods matched the captured vessel, but scaled up dramatically." Captain Veltar laughed from his position beside the admiral's chair. "Look at that monstrosity. It's like they took their pathetic research ship and made it bigger without any understanding of proper engineering. No wonder their species is so primitive." Cathavar nodded in agreement. The ship looked like something built by children playing with metal blocks. Its design showed no understanding of advanced physics or elegant engineering principles. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel. Put it through." The main screen changed to show a human male in military uniform. He was older than the crew of the Defiance, with gray hair and cold blue eyes. When he spoke, his voice was calm and controlled. "This is Captain Marcus Reeves of the Earth vessel Retribution. You are holding citizens of Earth against their will. Release them immediately." The entire Zephyrian bridge crew burst into laughter. One ship against an entire fleet? The humans were either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Admiral Cathavar composed himself and activated his own communication system. "I am Admiral Cathavar of the Zephyrian Hegemony. Your species has violated our territory and will face the consequences. Surrender your vessel immediately or be destroyed." Captain Reeves studied the alien admiral for a moment before responding. "I count 67 ships in your fleet, Admiral. That seems like a lot of firepower to use against one Earth vessel. Your crewed ship is large, but size means nothing without proper weapons and defenses. Observe our fleet and despair, human. Each of my escort ships carries more firepower than your entire civilization could produce." The human captain smiled, and something about that expression made Cathavar feel slightly uncomfortable. Admiral, you've been analyzing our ships for 3 weeks. What have your scientists concluded about our technology? Kethvar was happy to share his superior knowledge. Your vessels are primitive beyond measure. Metal hull construction, kinetic weapons, basic energy shields. You lack any understanding of biological integration or quantum field manipulation. Your species appears to have stumbled upon faster-than-light travel through pure accident. I see. And based on that analysis, you've concluded that humanity poses no threat to the mighty Zephyrian hegemony? Precisely. Your people are like insects compared to our advanced civilization. Captain Reeves nodded slowly. That's unfortunate, Admiral. Your scientists have made several critical errors in their analysis. Before Kethvar could respond, the human continued speaking. First, the Defiance was never designed as a warship. It was a converted research vessel sent to make peaceful contact with alien civilizations. What you've been studying for 3 weeks is basically our equivalent of a flying laboratory. The Zephyrian admiral felt a flicker of unease, but pushed it aside. Even if true, your current vessel is merely a larger version of the same primitive technology. Second error, Captain Reeves continued. You assume that all species develop technology along the same path as your own. The Zephyrians appear to have mastered biological integration and energy manipulation. Impressive achievements. But humanity chose a different path. The human captain gestured toward something off-screen. You see, Admiral, while your people were learning to grow their ships, we were learning to bend the fundamental forces of the universe to our will. While you were perfecting energy weapons, we were weaponizing physics itself. Kethvar had heard enough boasting. Enough words, human. Your single ship against my entire fleet. The outcome is obvious, is it? Captain Reeves asked. Admiral, I'm going to give you one final chance to release our people and withdraw from this system. After that, I'll demonstrate why attacking Earth was the worst mistake your species has ever made. The Zephyrian admiral's patience finally ran out. All ships, attack formation. Destroy that ridiculous human vessel. The human captain's expression never changed. Magnus, are you receiving this transmission? A new voice spoke from the human ship. Electronic and artificial. Yes, Captain. All Zephyrian vessels are now locked onto our targeting systems. Very well. Admiral Kethvar, you wanted to see human technology in action. Signal all ships, weapons free. Captain Reeves's image disappeared from the screen, replaced by tactical displays showing the approaching Zephyrian fleet. 67 warships moved into attack formation, their weapons charging with deadly energy. From his command chair, Admiral Kethvar watched with satisfaction as his fleet prepared to destroy the arrogant humans. The ugly human ship just sat there, apparently waiting for death. Sir, reported the tactical officer, the human vessel is not raising shields or charging weapons. They appear to be defenseless. Excellent. They've finally realized the futility of resistance. But then something strange happened. The space around the human ship began to shift. Sensor readings became confused and contradictory. The ship itself seemed to flicker in and out of normal space-time. What's happening? Kethvar demanded. Unknown, sir. Our sensors are detecting massive gravitational anomalies around the human vessel. The readings don't make sense. On the main screen, the human ship Retribution suddenly looked different. The thick armor plates that had seemed so primitive began to glow with internal energy. The massive weapon turrets rotated smoothly to target multiple Zephyrian vessels simultaneously. Sir, we're detecting weapon systems that don't appear on any of our scans. How is that possible? Admiral Kethvar stared at the tactical display with growing alarm. The human ship's energy signature was climbing beyond anything the Zephyrian sensors could measure. This was impossible. Their analysis had been thorough and complete. Captain Veltar leaned forward in his chair. Admiral, perhaps we should reconsider our approach. But Kethvar's pride would not allow retreat. Impossible. No primitive species could hide technology of this level. All ships open fire. Destroy them now. The Zephyrian fleet unleashed everything they had. Hundreds of energy beams lanced across space toward the human vessel. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small moon, and then the humans fired back. The universe seemed to hold its breath as humanity finally showed the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The first thing that happened was nothing. Admiral Kethvar watched in satisfaction as hundreds of energy beams from his fleet struck the human vessel. The combined firepower was enough to vaporize any known ship in the galaxy. But when the energy dissipated, the human ship called Retribution was still there, completely undamaged. Impossible, whispered Captain Veltar. Nothing could survive that barrage. The human ship's armor, which had looked so primitive and crude, now showed its true nature. What the Zephyrians had mistaken for simple metal plating was actually an advanced metamaterial composite designed to absorb and redistribute energy. The thick, ugly armor had soaked up the entire alien attack and barely showed scorch marks. "Sir," reported the science officer, his voice shaking, "our energy readings were completely wrong. That armor isn't primitive metal. It's something we've never seen before. The material appears to convert incoming energy into something else." Admiral Cathavar felt the first cold touch of real fear. "All ships concentrate fire on a single point. Overwhelm their defenses." But before his fleet could fire again, the human ship responded. Captain Reeves's voice echoed across all communication channels. "Magnus, launch the first wave." From the sides of the Retribution, what appeared to be simple missiles streaked toward the Zephyrian fleet. The aliens' point defense systems activated immediately, shooting down most of the incoming projectiles with precise energy beams. "Is that all they have?" laughed Captain Veltar. "Primitive rockets?" His laughter died when the few missiles that penetrated the defenses reached their targets. These were not normal warheads. Each projectile had been accelerated to 15% of light speed using technology the Zephyrians could not comprehend. The relativistic kill vehicles struck 3 Zephyrian cruisers with the force of small nuclear weapons, but instead of exploding, they simply punched clean through the alien ships like bullets through paper. The first cruiser, the Blade of Honor, was struck amidships. The projectile entered through the front hull and exited through the rear, leaving a perfectly round hole 3 meters wide. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship broke apart as structural failure cascaded through its entire length. "Impossible," Kethvar shouted. "No kinetic weapon can penetrate our quantum shielding." But the human projectiles had not been stopped by shields. They had passed through energy barriers as if they did not exist. The Zephyrian shields were designed to deflect energy weapons and slow down normal matter. They were useless against objects moving at relativistic speeds. The second and third cruisers suffered similar fates. The relativistic projectiles tore through their hulls, destroying critical systems and leaving the ships dead in space. "Sir, we need to retreat," urged the tactical officer. "We don't understand their weapons." But Admiral Kethavar's pride had been wounded. His fleet was the pride of the hegemony border forces. They could not be defeated by primitive humans, all ships close to minimum range. Their kinetic weapons need distance to accelerate. The Zephyrian fleet surged forward, trying to get close enough to overwhelm the human ship with point-blank energy fire. It was a sound tactical decision based on conventional weapons theory. It was also exactly what Captain Reeves had been waiting for. "Magnus, activate gravitational manipulation systems." The space around the Retribution began to distort in ways that violated everything the Zephyrians thought they knew about physics. The human ship had not just mastered faster-than-light travel, they had learned to weaponize gravity itself. 2 Zephyrian destroyers, the Swift Death and the Starpiercer, suddenly found themselves caught in a focused gravity well. The artificial gravity field was so intense that it crushed both ships like empty cans. Their hulls, designed to withstand the pressure of deep space and energy weapon impacts, crumpled as if they were made of paper. "What are they doing to our ships?" screamed the science officer. "This is impossible." Admiral Kethvar stared at the tactical display in horror. The gravity distortions around the human ship were creating localized space-time anomalies. His ship's sensors were going insane trying to process readings that contradicted known physics. "Sir, the human vessel is generating gravity waves. They're using them to tear apart our formation." The Retribution demonstrated another aspect of its advanced technology. Where the Zephyrians used energy weapons that could be seen and tracked, the humans used invisible forces that struck without warning. Gravity waves rippled through space, tossing the alien ships around like toys in a bathtub. The cruiser-dominant Will tried to maintain its attack course, but a gravity wave caught it broadside. The ship was spun end over end, its crew thrown against bulkheads as artificial gravity failed. When the wave passed, the cruiser was intact but helpless, its navigation systems completely destroyed. "All ships evasive action," Kethvar ordered. "Random patterns. Don't let them lock onto us." But the human ship's targeting was not based on conventional sensors. The Retribution was reading gravitational signatures, quantum fluctuations and space-time distortions that the Zephyrian ships created simply by existing. There was no way to hide from weapons that tracked the fundamental forces of the universe. Captain Reeves's voice cut through the chaos. "Admiral, you're beginning to understand. Your scientists analyzed one of our research ships and concluded that humanity was primitive, but you never asked the right question." "What question?" Kethavar found himself asking, despite the battle raging around him. "You never asked why a primitive species would need armor that advanced. The Defiance wasn't built to fight aliens, Admiral. It was built to survive the weapons we test on each other." The truth hit Kethavar like a physical blow. Humanity had not developed space warfare technology to fight aliens. They had developed it to fight themselves. The armor that could absorb Zephyrian energy weapons had been designed to survive human weapons. The gravity manipulation technology had been created for conflicts between human nations. If this was what humans brought to a first contact situation, what did they use when they were actually trying to kill each other? "Sir, we've lost 12 ships and the rest of the fleet is requesting permission to retreat." Admiral Kethavar looked at the tactical display. His perfect formation was in ruins. Ships were scattered across space, some destroyed, others crippled, all of them outmatched by technology they could not understand. But the human ship was just getting started. "Magnus, prepare the quantum torpedoes," Captain Reeves ordered. "Let's show them what humanity considers a proper weapon." New contacts appeared on the Zephyrian sensors. Dozens of projectiles launched from the Retribution. But these were different from the relativistic kill vehicles. They seemed to flicker in and out of existence, phasing between dimensions. "Sir, those projectiles just passed through the shields of the Eternal Glory without triggering any defensive systems." The quantum torpedoes materialized inside Zephyrian ships, bypassing shields and armor completely. They detonated within the vessel's hulls, tearing them apart from the inside. No defense could stop a weapon that simply ignored the concept of solid matter. Admiral Kethavar watched his flagship sister ship, the Sovereign's Pride, torn apart by weapons that should not exist. The explosions came from inside the ship, as if reality itself was betraying the laws of physics. "Sir, we cannot fight this," Captain Veltar pleaded. "We need to retreat and report to High Command." But before Kethavar could give the order, the human ship demonstrated its most terrifying capability. The Retribution's main weapon powered up, and spacetime itself began to scream. The humans had found a way to weaponize the fundamental forces that held reality together. And they were about to use it. The end came faster than Admiral Kethavar could have imagined. The human ship Retribution hung in space like a dark angel of destruction, surrounded by the wreckage of what had once been the pride of the Zephyrian border fleet. 23 ships destroyed, 15 more crippled beyond repair, and the rest scattered in terror. "Sir, the human vessel is charging some kind of primary weapon," reported the tactical officer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Energy readings are impossible." Admiral Kethavar stared at the tactical display with the numb shock of a predator that had suddenly become prey. Everything he thought he knew about warfare, about technology, about the natural order of the galaxy, had been shattered in less than an hour. The space around the Retribution began to distort in ways that hurt to look at. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as the human ship prepared to demonstrate the ultimate expression of their technological mastery. "What are they doing?" Captain Veltar asked, but no one had an answer. Captain Reeves's voice cut through the chaos one final time. "Admiral, you wanted to see what humanity is capable of when we're actually trying to kill something. Allow me to introduce you to our latest innovation." The main weapon of the Retribution fired, and the universe held its breath. What emerged from the human ship was not an energy beam or a kinetic projectile. It was something far worse. A concentrated field of manipulated spacetime that created microscopic black holes along its path. Each tiny singularity existed for only fractions of a second, but they tore through matter at the quantum level. The Zephyrian dreadnought Eternal Dominion, flagship of the second battle group, simply ceased to exist. The spacetime weapon did not destroy the ship. It unraveled the fundamental forces that held its atoms together. One moment there was a 3-kilometer warship. The next moment there was nothing but empty space. "Impossible," whispered the science officer. "They're manipulating spacetime itself. No species has ever achieved such technology." But Admiral Kethavar was beginning to understand. The humans had not followed the conventional path of technological development. While other species had focused on energy weapons and biological integration, humanity had gone straight to the source, the fundamental forces of reality itself. The remaining Zephyrian ships began to retreat in panic, but the retribution was not finished. The human vessel demonstrated perfect inertial control, stopping and starting with impossible precision. When the massive battlecruiser Sovereign's Vengeance tried to ram the human ship in a desperate suicide attack, the retribution simply reached out with invisible hands of gravity and stopped the alien vessel dead in space. The Zephyrian ship, all 5 kilometers and millions of tons of it, hung motionless as if held by a giant invisible fist. Then, with clinical precision, the human ship began to tear it apart. Gravity waves ripped sections of hull away piece by piece. Focused gravitational fields crushed weapon turrets and engine compartments. The proud Zephyrian battlecruiser was methodically dissected like a specimen in a laboratory. "Sir, we must surrender," Captain Veltar pleaded. "We cannot fight this level of technology." But surrender was no longer an option. The human ship had moved beyond tactical objectives and into the realm of total warfare. This was not just a battle. It was a demonstration of what happened to species that threatened humanity. The final act came when the retribution revealed its most disturbing capability. Tractor beam arrays that the Zephyrians had assumed were for cargo handling suddenly showed their true purpose. But these were not conventional tractor beams that simply grabbed objects. The human tractor beams operated at the molecular level. They could reach out across space and literally tear ships apart atom by atom. The escort destroyer Swift Strike began to dissolve. As human technology unraveled the chemical bonds that held its hull together, Admiral Kethvar watched, in horror as his ship was reduced to its component elements. Metal became powder, circuits became scattered atoms, and the crew simply ceased to exist as their molecular structure was disbanded. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel," reported the communication officer. Captain Reeves appeared on the main screen once again. Behind him, Admiral Kethvar could see the bridge of the Retribution, clean, efficient, and populated by humans who looked as calm as if they were conducting a routine training exercise. "Admiral," Captain Reeves said, "I believe you're beginning to understand your situation. Your fleet has been eliminated. Your technology has been proven inadequate. Your species has made the mistake of threatening Earth." Kethvar found his voice. What are you?" "We're human," Captain Reeves replied simply. "We're a species that spent 10,000 years learning how to kill each other more efficiently. We turned warfare into a science, then we turned science into a weapon. Every tool we develop, every discovery we make, every piece of technology we create, we ask ourselves one question: how can this be used to destroy our enemies?" The human captain gestured toward something off-screen. "The Defiance that you captured was a research vessel. Its mission was to make peaceful contact with alien civilizations. But even our exploration ships carry weapons that could level continents, because we've learned that the universe is a dangerous place. And now," Captain Reeves continued, "you forced us to show the galaxy what we're really capable of. Your hegemony wanted to enslave humanity. You saw us as primitive and weak. That was your fatal error." On the tactical display, the few remaining Zephyrian ships continued their desperate retreat. But Admiral Kethvar knew they would not escape. The human ship could have destroyed them all in the opening minutes of the battle. The fact that some ships were being allowed to flee was not mercy. It was strategy. "You're letting them go," Kethvar realized. "You want them to report back to our high command." Captain Reeves smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Exactly. Your surviving ships will carry word of this battle to every corner of the Zephyrian hegemony. They'll tell them about the primitive humans who destroyed an entire fleet with a single ship. They'll spread fear and doubt throughout your military hierarchy." The human captain leaned forward. "And then, Admiral, your leaders will face a choice. They can leave humanity alone and pretend this never happened, or they can send more fleets to attack Earth. Either way, we win. If you leave us alone, we'll continue our peaceful exploration of the galaxy. If you attack us again," Captain Reeves gestured toward the wreckage of the Zephyrian fleet, "we'll introduce your species to the real meaning of human warfare." Admiral Kethvar felt the weight of absolute defeat settling on his shoulders. His flagship was the only capital ship still intact, and only because the humans were allowing it to survive. The pride of the hegemony border fleet had been crushed like insects by a single human vessel. "Sir," whispered Captain Veltar. "What do we tell High Command?" Kethavar stared at the image of Captain Reeves and realized that everything had changed. The galaxy had a new apex predator, and it was humanity. "We tell them the truth," he said finally. "We tell them that we found something in the darkness that we should have left alone. We tell them that the humans are not primitive or weak. We tell them that we've awakened something that makes our greatest fears look like children's nightmares." The human captain nodded approvingly. "Wisdom at last. Take your surviving ships and go, Admiral. Carry our message to your people, and pray that your leaders are wiser than you were." As the Retribution turned away to begin rescue operations for both human and alien survivors, Admiral Kethavar understood that he had witnessed the dawn of a new age. The Zephyrian hegemony had ruled this sector of space for millennia, believing themselves to be the ultimate predators. They had just learned they were wrong. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same.